Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 43. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, wargame experiences from the week. Now you might think to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 YouTube videos a week and you stream every single night. How? Could you possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week we have some very exciting news from Eons of Battle. We have merch! Finally! We have some merch coming out. We got t-shirts and some sweaters. We have 2 pieces of art. One of those pieces of art is a very fun artistic interpretation of a certain paint storage device. I super love this design. It is very cute, and I can't wait to wear it into a Warhammer store. And we have another design that we are calling a futuristic space soldier. I super duper love this guy, and it is an homage to our old intros, Space Marine painting a Space Marine. Although obviously this is not a Space Marine, it is a totally unique design. But these t-shirts are now available for pre-order, and you can find them in the description below. And for our US customers, if you purchase 2 shirts, you can get free shipping. In the newsy news this week, we saw from Games Workshop, they showed off 5 new combat patrols. And combat patrols are the new Start Collecting. And unfortunately, I don't think the name is as good. Start Collecting, I feel like, tells you exactly what it is. Ooh, how do I play Necrons? Well, you're gonna want the Start Collecting. I wanna get into Necrons. Well, you're gonna want the Combat Patrol. I don't want a patrol, how do I start my, it's the same thing, it's a combat patrol. This is something that's kind of happened with Games Workshop before, where they came up with the perfect name, and then enough time goes by where they have to refresh it, and then all of a sudden they need names that are not as good. See the entire Primaris range. They nailed it. Tactical Marine, Devastator, Rhino Tank, and now we've just got the craziest names. Intercessor Space Marine, Incursor Space Marine, Annihilator Space Marine. It's madness. But anyway, taking a look at these new combat patrols. The new combat patrols look pretty good. I kind of wish that they had stuck to the old $100, $99.99 price tag of some of the old Start Collectings, because I feel like as soon as you cross that $100, that purchase becomes a lot harder to justify. But I suppose with the $140 price tag, if you get it from a friendly local game store or secondhand retailer that offers the 50% off discount, it's only like $112. So I guess for $12 more than $100, it's worth it, because these do come with more things, and they're actually balanced in terms of points to some extent. So like before, like if you bought the Orc Start Collecting, you were buying like 75 points worth of models, but if you bought the Space Marine Start Collecting, you were buying 200 points of models. Now they're all supposed to be right around 500 points, and so if 2 people were to buy the combat patrols and then face each other, they should be set up for a reasonably well-balanced game. But looking at the Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol Tau Empire, 23 miniatures, and I actually think this box looks pretty good. It comes with, like, the big ticket item in this box is the Ghost Keel Battlesuit, which is probably one of the better looking Tau models out there. It is super cool. Then it comes with Fire Warriors, Stealth Suits, and 2 models that I thought were fine cast, but actually they are plastic. They're just getting a little old, getting a little long in the tooth. But the Fire Warrior Commander guy and the Ethereal on Hover Throne thing. But both, all good stuff. I think this would make a really good Start Collecting of a Tau army, but it's a combat patrol. Remember, it's not a Start Collecting. And I was super excited to see them show that off, but then they just decided to show off a whole bunch more combat patrols. And so these, 2 of these I think are okay, and 2 of these I think are top notch. Starting off with the Grey Knights Combat Patrol. This is one that I've kind of been excited for because I have a fledgling Grey Knight army that I would love to expand. However, I don't think I'll be purchasing this box. It just doesn't look like much fun. It only comes with 12 miniatures, which is like $140, 12 miniatures. Come on now. I get it's Grey Knights, it's elite army, but comes with 5 Terminators, 5 striking squad guys, 1 Librarian, and 1 Dread Knights. And it's not a bad box, but part of me always feels like I want the box even more so than for the things in it to be like competitive or good. I just want it to be fun. I want a good variety of things to paint and just a good variety of units. And I feel like the Grey Knight box is just kind of whatever. I guess if you're starting Grey Knights, you'd want these things, and you're gonna get these things, and the Librarian is nice to have, but I don't know, it doesn't jingle my jangles, it doesn't butter my toast, it doesn't flim my flams, it's just all right. I also don't really want the Strike Squad, I only want Terminators. I want my Grey Knight army to be, oops, all Terminators. Moving on to the Thousand Suns Comet Patrol, this one is good and kind of interesting because when you think of Thousand Suns, what do you think? Because I think Rubric Marines. But they don't come in this box. There are no Rubric Marines in the Comet Patrol. You get 20 Zangors, 5 Scarab Occult Terminators, and the new like Exalted Sorcerer guy, who looks super, super dope. And all of these models in this box are good. And I think that this is a good value because if you want to take Zangors in 40k, you have to buy the 40k Zangor upgrade sprue that comes with the chainswords and bolt pistols. And all of that comes in this box. So I think that this it'll give you a slight discount if you were planning on adding 20 Zangors to your army, which probably most Thousand Suns players do, but I don't know if that's like a first purchase, because I feel like your first purchase is probably going to be the Exalted Sorcerer and some Rubric Marines, and then maybe you'd add the 20 Zangors down the road, but I think it seems like a good box. I guess it does give you your two or maybe 4 troop options, and then you've got your Scarab Occult Terminators, which are just fantastic. So it is a good box, but it is weird. I think it may have been better and a little bit more fun, because I love a variety of units, to drop one of these 10 Zangors and insert 10 Rubric Marines. That would have been a perfect combat patrol. A great way to start collecting Thousand Suns. Moving on to the Adeptus Custodes Combat Patrol. This one just looks aces. I mean, the Adeptus Custodes are very, very expensive. It comes with 18 models, which is somehow 6 more than the Grey Knights. And it just looks great. You get the 3 bikes, you get the 5 Custodes, you get the Custodian Guard guy, and then you get 10 Sisters of Silence. I think that just seems like a great box. I want to buy this box. I really like this Custodes. I think they'd be a fun challenge. I haven't decided if I really want to use the Custodes as a way to learn non-metallic metal gold, or just really get good at true metallic metal gold. I haven't really decided yet. True metallic metal gold is a little bit easier, but I should try to learn non-metallic metal gold. I'm okay at non-metallic metal like silver, but the few times I've tried it with gold, mixed results. I really should learn. But boy, is that a commitment to learn across an army of like, with only like 38 models, because it's the Custodes, but still. It's a tall order. It's a tall glass of water. But love the Combat Patrol Adeptus Custodes. And then moving on to the Genestealer Cult Combat Patrol. This one made me a little bit nervous because I really like the start collecting for Genestealer Cult. Got the Achilles, Ridge Runner, and then 10 Acolytes, 10 Neophytes, and the Icon Ward. The Icon Ward was a little bit of a mixed bag. You don't want tons of duplicates of that guy, but you never want tons of duplicates of any HQ choice, so no matter what, it was always going to be a little superfluous, but I really liked that start collecting, and so I was nervous what they would do with the Combat Patrol, but I think they knocked it out of the ballpark with the Combat Patrol. This is a fun box. 32 miniatures. I want a lot of minis, and this is giving me a lot of minis. It comes with 20 Neophyte hybrids, 5 Acolyte hybrids, 5 Aberrants, the Rock Grinder, and a Magus, the Lady Magus. And this is a super, super dope box. I really like that it doesn't come with the like Heroes of the Cult sprue that you can buy from Games Workshop. It originally came in Deathwatch Overkill, and it came with your Patriarch, Magus, and Primus, and some familiars. And it's a great thing to pick up. I think if you're starting a Genestealer Cult army, it's still a great purchase because you basically get all of your HQ options in one go for like $60, but almost everybody already has that from buying it separately or from I already forgot the name, Deathwatch Overkill. So it's good to see them not make a reappearance in the Combat Patrol. Super, super love this Combat Patrol. 32 miniatures. It's crazy that the Grey Knights only give you 12 for 140 bucks, but the Genestealer cult are able to give you 32, which is really good. The Genestealer cult is an expensive army because it's a new army, and so it's hard to build up those models, but this box seems like a really, really good way to do that. So all in all, I think all of these boxes are good, except for maybe the Grey Knights. They're fine. For 140 bucks, you could buy like 2 boxes of Grey Knight Terminators and maybe a regular Dreadnought. Let me fix the Grey Knight Combat Patrol right now. I think it should come with 10 of the Striking Squad, 5 Terminators, keep the Librarian because it's a good unit, maybe throw in the Castellan Crow, the Grey Knight's unique plastic character, and then just add in 1 normal Venerable Dreadnought. Because the Venerable Dreadnought is still an okay unit choice for the Grey Knights. So, and then let people pick up the Dread Knight later on down the road. I think that would make for a better, more fun Combat Patrol with more miniatures in it. That's what I would like to see. So other than that, and Games Workshop, if you're listening, you totally, you could retool, you could go back to the drawing board, fix it up, remove it from the Warhammer community page, and it would all be great, right? So, Games Workshop, if you're listening, you can have that one for free. I really like the look of all these Combat Patrols, but it kind of made me sad that we're seeing the end of these Start Collectings, and I decided to look up the few remaining Start Collectings on the Games Workshop web store, and some of them I'll miss, and some of them are worse than I remembered. The Start Collecting Astra Militarum has always been on the lame side of things. You get your 10 Cadian Guardsmen and a Leman Russ and the Commissar. I don't know, I suppose it's a fine box. I think all of the Start Collectings that come with 1 troop choice and 1 kind of big ticket vehicle, those are never as much fun for me as the ones that come with a smattering of troop options. I think I just don't like vehicles, maybe. I think vehicles are kind of a fun separate purchase. I don't necessarily like them in the Combat Patrols. And by Combat Patrols, I mean Start Collecting. I mean, I'm even getting flip-flops. Most of the Start Collectings for Age of Sigmar are top-notch, just absolutely excellent. There's some more kinda, I think, misses. The Start Collecting Tyranids, 8 Genestealers, the Broodlord, and the Moloch Trigon. Broodlord is not a bad pick, but I don't know. I feel like 8 Genestealers is not enough. And not everybody wants the Trigon Moloch. I feel like it's just kind of a bad box. But then you've got some boxes like the Start Collecting Militarum Tempestus, where you get 2 Tempestus Scions, the Taurox, the much maligned Taurox, and the Commissar. That's pretty much a great box because you're getting basically the Commissar and the Taurox for free because those Militarum Tempestus Scions are so gosh darn expensive on their own. Then you just got some weird stuff like the Start Collecting Craft Worlds, which is a Wraith Lord, the Wraithy Guys, Warwalker, which I love. Warwalker, just for some reason, is one of my favorite models of all time. But I suppose it's a good box if you really like the Wraith units, but it doesn't come with any kind of normal Eldar stuff. Boy, there's a Start Collecting Greywater Fastness, which is old Warhammer Fantasy Battles Dwarves? Boy, why do they still sell that? That's pretty wild. I think that they just forgot that it's not 2013 anymore. And of course, they temporarily out of stock online, and I'm guessing it's going to remain temporarily out of stock online, but they start collecting 1,000 Suns. And would you look at that? It comes with Ahriman, the Sorcerer, Rubrik Marines, and Zangors. Doesn't that make for a really, really fun, interesting box? Who would have thought? Rubrik Marines in 1,000 Suns kill team. Very, very neat. But that is the new Combat Patrols and saying a little goodbye to the Start Collectings. Maybe in like 5 years down the road, they're gonna be done with the Combat Patrols and they're gonna have to come up with a new name. for their starter boxes. Wonder what they will call them. But in the news of what I've been working on this week in my hobby, last week I said that if I did not finish the second Horus Heresy novel, I would be ending the channel. Luckily, I finished it. Ashley got a good way on the third Horus Heresy book, and boy, these books, it's hard to believe that this is part of a 50-book series, because these things really seem to be moving in terms of the story. Like, we've already gotten, slight spoiler alerts, but Horus has already committed a bit of heresy. I know. Cover your ears if you don't wanna, but they're really good books, actually. I'm very pleasantly surprised. The first book I really, really enjoyed because it felt really different. I've read a whole bunch of 40K novels, and they're always fun, but they always kind of feel the same. Like, we must fight and defeat the thing, and all hope is lost, and we're hanging on by a thread. But the first book in the Horus Heresy novel is actually set in a time period where the Imperium is doing pretty darn well. The Emperor is back on Terra working on the Webway project, although nobody knows that yet. The fleets of Space Marines are just out there conquering the galaxy, and Horus is a really nice dude. Like, he's a good guy, and it's really, really weird because really my only knowledge of Horus is just that picture of Horus standing over Sanguinius's body and then the Emperor being like, "Rrr." And so I kind of always just assumed that he's just like a crazed, fanatical, giant behemoth of a guy. But he's really nice. He's a good leader, and he's a good person, and he is really, really well able to get the best out of the people around him, to help the people around him. He's very, very nice to civilians and humans, and he's just a good dude, which works out perfectly because we all know what's going to happen. It's really, really cool, and I really, really dig it. And the other characters are really, really cool too. One big thing that we learn about in the first Horus Heresy book is the Mournval, and that is Horus's inner circle. Space Marines that he really, really respects. He kind of invites them along to be his personal assistants and consultants. Like, he always is talking with them about what they should do, what their plans should be, how they should proceed. And it's kind of interesting. It reminds me actually a lot of the book Watership Down by Richard Adams, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I've read it like 3 times. I absolutely love that book. But in that book, the leader of the rabbits, this all ties around, I swear. The leader of New Warren of Rabbits, Hazel, he is a very, very good leader. Often leadership is a thing that's not done very well in books and movies and shows, because usually the leader is just the smartest, the fastest, the most cunning, and the one who knows everything and has to make all the hard decisions. But in Watership Down, it's a really interesting book because Hazel is not the smartest, not the fastest, not the most cunning, but he's a good leader. He's able to communicate to the other rabbits and talk well and kind of understand what's happening. And Hazel, being a good leader, and all of the other rabbits working together helps them to get out of lots of situations and problems. And it really kind of makes you feel like you're also a rabbit, just hanging out with Hazel, and he's putting your best abilities to work. And I kind of got that from Horus. He's a good guy. And everything he does in the first book makes a lot of sense, and you kind of understand that's everything is gonna work out and be great. And then the second book happens. And the second book is called False Gods. And boy, the title kinda, you get a sense of what's gonna happen. And I was super, super shocked. Horus kind of begins his descent in the second book, which was quick. This book series is 50 books. I thought it would take a little longer than this, but I feel like his descent was a little rushed. I bet they didn't plan on this book series being infinite when they started it. I think they just wrote, and whatever happened, happened. But it's a really, really good book. It starts out with all the same characters, a couple of new ones. But essentially, the first 2 books take place over the course of maybe a few months. And the second book is a little slow on the first end, as you kind of you're picking up where we left off on the second book. You see some really, really cool stuff. In the second book, you see Space Marine's first interaction with Nurgle, and it's really, really cool. It's kind of like a vampire movie, where you're watching the characters in the movie, but you know all the rules. You know, they're like, don't get bitten. You know, you're safe in your home as long as you don't invite the vampire. You have to stay out of the sun. But the characters in the book are unaware of what's going on, and so it kind of makes for a fun thing where the audience knows more than the characters in the story, and we get to discover along with them what's going on. But it's a really, really neat book. And I know that the chant, the mantra is #blame Lorgar, but man, it seems like Ahriman is more to blame so far. It's an interesting read, but I really, really enjoy it. Towards the middle of the book, there's kind of a turning point where Horus changes, and it's a little heavy-handed. I mean, Horus just starts out as such a nice person, and then I'm a few chapters into the third book, Galaxy in Flames, and Horus is a different character, and it all makes sense and it's well done, but I just feel like I would have liked a little bit more time spent on his transformation from the good man Horus, who's got literally the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders, to the Horus he's gonna become. Also, chaos is magic, and so it's not the most satisfying storytelling narrative tool, to be just magic happened and thus this happened. I don't know. I'm excited to read more, but if anybody is thinking about reading the first 3 Horus Heresy novels, I totally recommend them. I think they are neat. If you're into the Warhammer universe, and specifically the Imperium side of things, or just the general history, I think they're really, really good reads. And they're not like crazy long or anything either. They're nice books. But I think after these 3 novels, I'm gonna be taking a little break from the heresy. I don't want to do all 50 in a row. I just don't. So I have some picks. These are all books that I own and I want to read, and so I'm gonna give you some options, and then you find people in the comments section below. Please tell me which book I should read, and as soon as I finish Galaxy in Flames, I will start reading whatever book you select. And speaking of getting to select, I also paint live on YouTube, and those selections I let my viewers pick too, but those I only let people on the Patreon pick. And what is the Patreon, you ask? Well, it is only the best way to support us making videos and what we do. Over there, you're gonna get access to tons of super cool grimdark STL terrain. You're also gonna get 1 exclusive show a week, some behind the scenes content, and other exclusive stuff. But with that said, let me get to your options. Behind door number 1, we have Spear of the Emperor by Aaron Dembski Bowden. It's about a Primaris chapter of Space Marines that are having a really, really hard time. They're close to death in the end of their chapter. And I've heard that it is a top-notch Primaris new novel. I've heard nothing but good things, and I'm excited to read it, maybe. For the second option, behind curtain number 2, Hammer and Anvil by James Swallow. This is a book all about the Sisters of Battle defending against an attack by the Necrons. I really like the Sisters of Battle, and I would like to know more about them, and so I have a couple of Sisters of Battle books, and I think this would be a really, really great start. I've read a little bit about Sisters of Battle in the book Warhammer. Was it Apocalypse or was it Indomitus? I think it was Indomitus, and in Indomitus there's a few chapters about the Sisters of Battle. I just like the Sisters of Battle, and I'm excited to read this book. And last but not least, Honor Bound by Rachel Harrison. This is the book about Commissar Severina Rain as she fights against the forces of chaos, and yes, it is that Severina Rain, the miniature that you can currently buy from the Games Workshop web store. And who knows, maybe after I read this book, I'll be so jazzed about that character that I'll have to pick up the model. Although I've read all the Eisenhorn books and I don't care, I don't want that Eisenhorn model. It's an okay model. I think I'm just a little sour on the Eisenhorn books. They're all right. I think crime drama has never really been my thing, but they're all right. So there are your options. Spear of the Emperor, a Space Marine novel, Hammer and Anvil, a Sister of Battle novel, and Honor Bound, a Imperial Guard novel. Let me know in the comments below which one I am reading, and you gotta be a little quick because I'll probably finish the third Horus Heresy novel in the next couple of days, so I can't wait to see what I'm gonna read. But that'll bring this episode of Models Memories to a close.